Hey everybody, my name is Atli and I'm the director of Merry Krampus. When the idea came up to make a short Christmas film, we knew we wanted to make something a little different. I've always loved ghosts, aliens, monsters, so bringing a Christmas monster to life was very appealing. Krampus is, to an extent, an evil version of Santa Claus, originating from European folklore. So the idea of a kid mistaking Krampus for Santa Claus on Christmas Eve sounded like a fun spin on things. The gear we used was relatively simple. We had the Sony A7sIII with a 35 Rokinon cine lens on a Zhiyun Crane 2S and the Pro kit with the Zhiyun Crane. As for lights, we used two Aputure HR672 and an Aputure 120D Mark II for one specific shot. And that's basically it, that's the gear. And for the crew, I kept it to a bare minimum. I'm directing and shooting. We have an assistant director, production sound mixer, grip/gaffer, and the behind-the-scenes cameraman. And he used the A7III with the Weebil-S for half his shots. Although the A7sIII has very accurate autofocus, I didn't own a 35mm lens with autofocus, but I did have a manual lens. So we used the focus motor on the Crane 2S that comes with the Pro kit. The follow focus worked great, no latency and a very easy setup. Even though the HR672 lights are pretty old, I still use them a ton. They're light, simple, and run for hours on battery. We were mainly lighting through the windows and we just moved the lights around the house to fit our needs. One very important feature of the Crane 2S Pro kit was the wireless transmission system. When you're directing, pulling focus, moving the gimbal through the scene, you sometimes miss what's going on in the background. Then it's handy to send the footage straight from the camera to a big iPad that our assistant director was viewing at all times. He carefully views the frame for all kinds of goofs, reflections and stuff, so I can basically just focus on framing and directing. And since the system supports up to 3 devices, I used my phone to pull focus because it's a lot bigger than the screen on the A7sIII. Regarding the camera movement, I am a real sucker for gimbals because they work fast and get all kinds of shots in a relatively quick manner. I've seen people use gimbals for really extreme stuff, but what I personally find best in a cinematic setting is to lean towards minimalistic movements. Push in, push out, follow the movement. I really don't want to distract the story. I want to let the camera movement enhance the story. When you've mounted the follow focus system, wireless transmitter, a pretty beefy and heavy lens, and all kinds of things to the gimbal, it gets a little heavy after hours of use. So my solution was to mount the sling grip handle on the side and shift the gimbal weight between my hands. It looks kind of weird, but it really helps for long periods with no breaks. The actors had both very hard jobs. Our young actor, Baldur, in his first role, had to deal with a lot of new stuff all at once. One very important thing to realize is that kids are very different to adults regarding how to approach them and direct them. So if you have a young actor in your film, prepare to use a lot of time explaining things, rehearsing, shooting multiple takes, and so on. Baldur has never acted before, and I must say he did a fantastic job. He was focused and kept up with the production speed. And it really helps to decorate cookies when you're on a break. Þorleifur, the actor who played Krampus, had the difficult and weird challenge of working out the costume and makeup by himself as we were shooting all the scenes with Baldur. He's a professional actor and has background in makeup and costume design, so it was perfect for our tight schedule. We didn't have a lot of time in pre-production, and ideally you'd want a makeup and costume test way ahead of the actual shoot and have a special makeup person. One of the problems was the horns. Krampus in most versions has large horns. We bought the horns and tried multiple times and even multiple versions to make them work to no avail. So instead of using our precious hours of shooting schedule, we opted to get rid of the horns completely. Sorry for all you Krampus purists out there. Regarding makeup, we bought a latex nose, spirit gum, large black lenses, monster teeth, gray hair, and some wax, liquid latex, and makeup. A lot of stuff. The costume was very heavy and hard to work in, and the makeup was really uncomfortable. So we carefully planned to shoot all the scenes with a young actor first and then focus on Krampus. Not having to set up a dolly track or adjusting a tripod really helped as well. Just grab the gimbal and shoot. I think Þorleifur did a fantastic job with an extremely difficult role, and I'm very happy with the end results. We edited and graded in Davinci Resolve. I've been using it for the last 2 years and really love it. To make the grade more dynamic, I use masks a lot and track them to the movement. It really makes a difference in guiding the eye to the most important part of the frame. After Effects was used to clean up and change a few frames. A little more advanced technique is the way I cleaned up the Krampus makeup. Sometimes the seams on the nose were visible, so I tracked his face with a new power mesh feature in Mocha Pro. That way I could paint out a lot of the imperfections and make it seamless. The most important thing in a suspenseful film is the music and sound. Our composer, the very talented Einar Tryggvason, scored the film in record time. If you view the film without the score, you really hear how much of the suspense is missing. As for sound, we used a lot of sounds from the shoot as the base, and then we added a bunch of Foley and sound effects on top of that. Personally, I use Artlist sound effects library. I grab a bunch of sounds, layer them together, and often tweak the speed, EQ, and reverb. It's really the same principle regarding sound as with VFX. Don't use just one element. I combine a bunch of them together to create something really customized. So in short, this was a really fun project, and we were really impressed with the Crane 2S Pro kit, especially the wireless system and follow focus. I hope you enjoyed the film, and happy holidays.